During the Second World War, the Royal Navy's destroyer fleet faced immense pressure. Larger fleet destroyers were being lost in growing numbers, while shipyards were struggling to keep pace with replacements. In response, the Admiralty sought a smaller, more economical destroyer, one that could be built quickly, serve as a convoy escort, and still deliver the essential qualities of speed, firepower, and versatility. The result was the Hunt class, a family of compact escort destroyers named after British Fox Hunts. Though not designed to fight alongside fleet destroyers, the class filled an important role in Britain's coastal waters and convoy escort routes. The new design was to be built in smaller commercial yards, freeing up the major shipbuilders for capital ships and fleet destroyers. The Type 1 Hunt-class destroyers were the first to be laid down in 1939. They were compact ships, 85 meters long, 9.6 meters wide, and displacing just over 1,000 tons standard. Power came from two Admiralty 3-drum boilers feeding Parsons turbines, producing 19,000 shaft horsepower and giving a top speed close to 27 knots. Their main armament consisted of four 102mm dual-purpose guns in two twin mounts, one forward and one aft. This armament made them effective against both air and surface targets, supported by a small battery of 20mm Oerlikon anti-aircraft guns. For anti-submarine warfare, they carried depth charge rails and throwers. However, the early Hunts quickly revealed a serious design flaw: they were top-heavy and unstable, especially in rough seas. To correct it, several ships were modified during construction, with weight reductions, improved ballast, and other adjustments. The lessons learned from these first ships directly informed the next version of the class. The Type 2 design introduced key improvements. To improve stability, the hull was lengthened and widened slightly, and internal arrangements were modified to better distribute weight. The most notable upgrade was an additional twin 4-inch mount, giving the Type 2 6 4-inch guns, instead of 4. This made them far more capable in anti-aircraft and surface engagements, allowing them to deliver a heavier, more sustained barrage, a valuable trait when defending convoys from air attack or small surface craft. The displacement increased to around 1,150 tons standard, with similar speed and range to the earlier ships. Operational experience continued to shape the Hunt-class series. While the extra gun power of the Type 2 ships was useful, the Admiralty decided that the ability to launch torpedoes was more desirable for general-purpose destroyer duties. Thus, the Type 3 variant was introduced. To make room for a twin 21-inch torpedo tube mount, one of the 4-inch gun positions, usually the X, mounting amidship, was removed. This change gave the ships a limited but useful surface strike capability, allowing them to engage enemy destroyers or smaller vessels with torpedoes. Otherwise, the Type 3 ships closely resembled the Type 2 in hull and machinery, maintaining the same speed and range. The design reflected a shift toward flexibility, an escort destroyer that could also participate in limited fleet actions if required. The final wartime evolution came in the form of the Type 4 Hunt-class destroyers. This version incorporated more powerful machinery and revised fire control systems, as well as improved radar and communication equipment. However, by the time these ships were being constructed, the war was nearing its end, and not all were completed before 1945. Only a handful of Type 4s entered service, but they reflected how far the design had progressed from the unstable early models of 1939. The ships were equipped with sonar and radar as the war progressed, giving them the ability to detect both submarines and approaching aircraft. Their dual-purpose guns were highly effective, using high-angle mounts for engaging dive bombers and low-angle fire for surface targets. The Hunt-class destroyers served extensively in home waters, the North Sea, and the English Channel, where their maneuverability and dual-purpose armament made them ideal for escort and patrol work. They also operated in the Mediterranean, where they escorted convoys to Malta, North Africa, and Italy. While they were not designed for open ocean convoy duty across the Atlantic, many Hunts still participated in regional escort operations that were vital to the success of Allied logistics. One of their key contributions came during the Deep Raid in August 1942. Several Hunt-class ships supported the landings, provided naval gunfire support, and evacuated troops under heavy enemy fire. The operation demonstrated their ability to operate close to shore, a feature that would be used again during the Normandy landings in June 1944. During Operation Neptune, the naval phase of D-Day, Hunt-class destroyers escorted landing craft, screened against submarines and E-boats, and provided bombardment of coastal defenses. Their shallow draft allowed them to work closer to the beaches than larger destroyers could safely operate. Individual ships such as HMS Cotswold, HMS Blencathra, and HMS Melbrake took part in these operations, often working long hours in dangerous conditions. In the Mediterranean theater, Hunt-class destroyers played a vital supporting role during the long campaign to maintain supply lines to Malta. The narrow sea lanes, frequent air attacks, and heavy presence of Axis submarines made these operations some of the most hazardous of the war. In addition to convoy escort, the Hunts were used for anti-submarine patrols, minesweeping protection, and as part of the defensive screen for larger warships engaged in bombardment or invasion support. Several Hunt-class destroyers were transferred to Allied navies during and after the war. The Free Norwegian, Polish, and Greek navies all received ships of this class, operating them under their own flags in the Mediterranean and the North Sea. For the Royal Navy, many Hunts remained in commission into the early 1950s, often in training or reserve roles. As newer and larger destroyers entered service, the Hunts were gradually retired or transferred abroad. By the early 1960s, most had been scrapped or removed from the Navy list. The Hunt-class destroyers were not large or heavily armed, but they were well suited to the role for which they were designed, that of coastal escort and patrol vessel. They represented a pragmatic solution to a pressing wartime need, a destroyer that could be built in smaller yards, quickly and efficiently, yet still provide capable performance in combat. Their combination of dual-purpose guns, good seakeeping, and compact design made them effective multi-role escorts. They were particularly valued in coastal operations, amphibious landings, and short-range convoy duties where their size and agility were advantages. Although overshadowed by larger fleet destroyers like the Tribal or J-class, the Hunts filled an important operational niche throughout the war. They reflected the Royal Navy's ability to adapt, producing ships that balanced cost, capability, and speed of construction in wartime conditions. From the gun decks to the bridge, every story we tell honors those who served. If this tale made you feel the salt and steel of history, give it a like, and if you're not yet part of our channel's convoy, subscribe and join the ranks. More powerful stories await.